Hi everybody. My name is Jerry Wise, and I am a life and relationship coach, and I have been helping people for 45 years to learn to self-differentiate and to deal with family systems reactivity. I hope you'll join my YouTube channel, and I hope you'll click the bell above so that you get all of the new videos. When I create a new one, you'll be notified. And I hope you'll join this YouTube channel membership. It's inexpensive, but it helps support the videos that I produce. This video is entitled, Stop Falling for Your Reactivity. Most of us, and for most of us, reactivity is a common and frequent experience, even when we're unaware of it. It propels our thinking, it overwhelms us emotionally, and then gets acted out in our behavior. One of the most classic examples of this, though it doesn't take this much of a pinging, but one of the classic examples of this pinging is when we're adults and we travel home for a holiday dinner, travel to our family of origin for a celebration or a holiday, and we find ourselves slipping into our childhood roles, having childhood feelings, and finding ourselves reacting out of our family's anxiety within us, and we become very reactive to it. We may feel intimidated, fearful, anxious, pensive, tense. Then we may get angry or frustrated, irritated, exhausted, sad, hurt, feel abandoned or rejected. We also can feel shame and guilt and a desire to become avoidant, where I just want to cut off and just take an immature approach of I'll just stay away from those people or those feelings. And that kind of classic example kind of explains how hardwired we are to our family of origin. And just because we leave the family dinner doesn't mean all of that stops. All of it becomes more unaware and becomes more unconscious, but it doesn't stop. And that's the point of this video, because it's out of those experiences and what we carry with us away from the family that causes us so much reactivity in our marriages, at work, with friends, and in all of our relationships. Always remember, reactivity is the system's sleight of hand. Just like for a magician, they say, look over here, so you don't see what's going on over here. And reactivity keeps us focused over here rather than what's really going on within us and within the situation that's reality-based. And it takes us away from our true selves and the reality of the situation. For example, so what that your dad thinks you are inadequate? And so what that your mother thinks you are needy, weak, helpless, and in need of mothering or correcting? And I remember for years of taking those kinds of reactivities from my mother, for example, and needing to mother me, feeling I was weak or helpless, couldn't make good decisions, that I kept trying to either fight against that or change her mind or prove that that wasn't true. That's me still staying stuck in the reactivity of the family. My hunch is my mother had her own feelings of feeling weak, helpless, in need of mothering, and needy from her own family. And that gets carried on down to us. And so what that your husband finds you are and thinks you are over emotional or you're too sensitive? The reason I say so what is that if they think you are a Coca-Cola, So what? If someone thinks I'm inadequate, doesn't mean I am so. If someone thinks I'm over-emotional or too sensitive, doesn't make it so. So they're calling me a Coca-Cola, is what I use in other videos to describe that. And we react to the Coca-Cola wiring within the family and within the emotional system. Their thoughts, our families, comes out of their family feelings and thoughts from decades in the past and generations in the past. Reactivity is rooted in our childhood, our growing up, our imprinting, and how we are still wired to our families today. And it carries on with us as adults, which thwarts our sense of self and self-differentiation. So we want to practice resisting our reactivity. We want to give it little power. If I start to feel reactive, don't fuel it with your thoughts or your feelings or catastrophizing. It may feel powerful, but this is also a distraction from our anxiety and intensified so that we don't act for self. It blocks self-awareness. It blocks thinking. It blocks staying calm. Then it undermines self-awareness, self-definition, and self-regulation. These are the three pillars of self-differentiation. Let me give you an example. A couple are upset that the wife is over close with her family, parents, her siblings, and her husband is upset that he does not feel special, or he doesn't feel that love for him is a priority. This couple we'll call them Jose and Maria. Maria is enmeshed with her family. She then marries Jose, and she continues that enmeshment with her family. Jose has always felt she favors her family over him. Whenever Maria's family comes up, Jose becomes anxious or upset. And again, the family anxiety moves to Maria, moves to Jose. And it is wired all the way through. And we become anxious and upset. Maria is unconsciously anxious around her family and her over-closeness. Maria is unconsciously anxious around her family. And her over-closeness eases that anxiety. If I fuse, it eases in a temporary way that anxiety, but does not solve the problem. So whenever we give in, whenever we fuse, whenever we enmesh, whenever there's too much togetherness and too much we-ness, it brings down the initial anxiety, but it keeps everything in place so that it does not change. So we will have to do that over and over and over again. Maria's parents are fearful of losing their children through alienation, which occurred with them and their families. There was alienation. So we don't want that to happen, so let's be over close so that doesn't happen. The over closeness is a reaction to the alienation in previous generations. They fuse and enmesh with their kids to keep this from happening in their own nuclear family, even to the detriment of their children's marriages, which they don't see all of this at work. I'm not blaming them consciously, but unconsciously that is the effect. Maria's parents and family use words, and her siblings use words like, well, we are so close. We will always be there for you. Our culture values family, though not you and your husband, Jose's family, our family. We want him to join us. You would never want to hurt your mother by not being here for the family. I don't know why your husband just doesn't get it. We have always been a close-knit family. And again, touting the virtues of that close-knitness. And then they even may take a victim role, which is, I think your husband would like you to just stay away from us completely. And again, that evokes feelings and reactivity within Maria when she hears that. This family of origins anxiety runs through all the family, which is wired together emotionally. Maria takes this anxiety home and her need for fusion home with her. Jose reacts to the unspoken and unconscious anxiety by trying to pull her away from her family and have her meet his needs in which he did not feel special, a priority, or loved in his family. And so out of that, he pulls on her. She pushes on him so she can stay connected to her family. He pulls on her to try to get his needs met from his wiring in his family of origin. Then they often argue about this situation and use her family to do it. So we focus on, well, it's your family, when actually we're not seeing the situation clearly, nor are we arguing clearly or presenting how we feel clearly to each other. What they are arguing about are unresolved feelings and is unresolved wiring and unresolved anxiety and feelings generated in our family of origin. So what do we do when we get reactive? What should we do? Become more aware of your underlying anxiety, this chronic anxiety that Murray Bowen talked about that exists in all families. Remember, becoming reactive, acting out of that reactivity and that anxiety digs the hole deeper and continues the dysfunctional pattern and doesn't address how we're wired to each other. It solidifies your role and place in the functioning in the system. And reactivity is a result of this wiring. I remember working with a Jose and a Maria type of couple. And once they began to see that, they could connect to each other much better. Because then we're starting to get out and pull out of the quicksand of the family wiring. And they can actually have a healthier relationship with each other. Look away from the reactivity when it occurs. Don't let it hypnotize you or keep you in a trance. Locate the old source of the reactivity. For example, what would happen if I chose my husband over my family of origin? And address those fears, concerns, worries. Because in actuality, there's no reason why you couldn't continue to have a self-differentiated relationship with your family while choosing your husband over them. It's appropriate to choose your husband over them. Once we become married, our spouses are our priority. And if they're not, there will be a constant argument and fight for love, attention, specialness, power, all of those things. And remember, it's not that you differ with your family of origin or differ with those around you, or that you differentiate within a relationship system. It is that you're reactive in the differing. Differing does not mean harm. Work on staying calm. Practice staying calm. This is an important circuit breaker for the reactivity and the wiring. So once you start to feel reactive, go, I need to stay calm. That's what I need to do. Not I need to react or behave or talk or share my thinking or share my feelings. No, I need to stay calm first. That will allow your emotional system to wind down and allow you to think more clearly. about what's really going on. I know it's not easy, but stop looking at or focusing on the reactivity. Because again, the more we look at it and focus on it, the more we'll miss what's underneath it. So look away from the reactivity, though it pulls us towards it through guilt, fear, hurt, shame, fear of rejection, etc., etc. And by the way, with regard to rejection or fear of rejection, I used to say to get my mind to not focus on that by saying, well, if they reject me, it won't make my pants fall down. So what? If they choose to reject me, I have no power over their thinking and feeling. That's up to them. Many times they will reject you out of their system's feelings that they have not resolved, not because you are inadequate or deserving of rejection. So when you begin to feel reactive, begin to say, so what? What is the situation about? Is this, and I use another phrase, the situation is hopeless, but not serious. Maybe I can't change them, but it doesn't have to be serious. And we can say, so what about the situation? I hope today has been a help to you. I hope you'll click subscribe, click the bell, join YouTube membership. I hope you'll follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I want to thank you for joining me today. Have a great day and be wise. Hi, everyone. My name is Jerry Wise. I am the director of the Center for Self-Differentiation, Indianapolis, Indiana, or Carmel, Indiana. We're on the north side of Indianapolis. I have over 100 free videos on YouTube that you can watch. If you'd like a listing or if you'd like some resources on self-differentiation, please email me at the email address on the video and I'll send you those resources for free. This video is for those who have family members stuck inside themselves, or those who have ex-spouses stuck inside themselves, or those who have can be bosses, it can be siblings, it can be all kinds of folks. For those who have had affairs and still have residual or leftover feelings for their ex-affair partner. That's another area I find is really a place of struggle for clients that I work with. And for those adults who cannot get parents out of their emotional field, and you can watch some of my other videos for me and me describing that emotional field and what that is. And we're stuck in that emotional field and still feel guilty, shame, or pain when interacting with our parents or siblings, family of origin. Could be grandparents, could be the uncles and aunts that we particularly have some resentment, anger, frustration from childhood, for example. So how do we get them out of us and not get us out of them or away from them? And I always talk about, people are always saying, well, how do I get out of my family? I said, no, you're still trying to get out of your family. Get your family out of you. That's the main goal. And then when you've gotten your family out of you, you can decide what you want to do with your family. Because that family tends to change once they're out of you. Your perception of them, your sensitivity to them, your reactivity to them tends to go way down. And so you actually end up with a new family of origin because it's no longer the paradigm you were using. It's a new paradigm. And that affects how we see them. And so now no longer is mom's craziness or dad's anger and irritability or frustration now peaking and pinging me inside. It doesn't do that. So I just see them as people who have issues, and they're to be treated like I would have anybody else who had issues, or but they're not there for my existence. They're not there so that I feel loved. They're not there so I feel accepted. I deal with those needs from them, don't have those needs from them, and then the whole relationship changes. I believe grief work is the pathway to letting go. And this is what I mean by, say, choosing, and this particular video is entitled Have an Intentional Funeral When You Need to Let Go. This is what I mean when I use the term intentional funeral. Some might call it psychodrama work, some might call it inner letting go work. It's pretending to have a funeral emotionally and mentally, so we can get over them. It's an internal emotional funeral. And the more we're able to embrace that funeral, the more we're able to embrace that letting go, the more we actually do let go and can resolve some of the feelings that holds us in an enmeshment position with them. Exes, parents, family of origin, bosses, who knows. This grief work can be guided by a coach or therapist. Guided imagery is a very powerful form of help, which can help clients let go or get over or release someone from deep inside them. And I have people come to me all the time and want to let go of an ex, or an ex-affair partner, or any number, an ex-boss, a sister-in-law, a sister, parents whom still are stuck inside them and they get reactive inside over those particular family members. If you are in touch with your feelings about the person or thing you want to let go of, or the thing you want to let die within yourself, you can even set up your own funeral for the person with a friend or a sponsor or recovery partners. When I say sponsors, having worked in the 12-step community for a number of years and also worked inpatient for a number of years working with alcoholics and addicts and their family members. And I was the family counselor for alcoholics and addicts, very severe alcoholics and addicts, and we would all do family groups and we would do therapy with them to help them let go. Not only the addict or alcoholic to let go of their family, but the family to let go of them. And so the whole process was about letting go. It was very important to do that so that you have some self-differentiation and are not enmeshed and codependent. So letting go is very important for addictions work and for adult children of alcoholics as well, and grandchildren of alcoholics. And that's why I think this has always been a useful way. And we used to set up funerals with our patients that we saw inpatient, and the addict or alcoholic, there would be chairs set out. The addict or alcoholic would lay down, close their eyes, and we would have the families pass by them to do some letting go work, because they were facing their fear that was the greatest, that my child's going to die because of their addiction. And in fact, it's possible that their child may die because of addiction, that addictions kill. And so for them to move on with their lives, they have to have the funeral and let them go. It doesn't mean they don't love them. It doesn't mean they don't care about them. In fact, in some ways, they overcare and they overlove, which is where enmeshment and enabling and all those kinds of problems come in. They do care about them. But to balance that into a healthy balance, that if you have an adult who, a child of yours who's now an adult, you're limited as to what you can do for them or to change their lives. And nobody can change an addiction for someone else. That has to be internal work, and we have to own that powerlessness. And so the funeral is about the powerlessness, that I can't make this happen, so I need to let you go. This also helps the addict or alcoholic hit bottom also realize they're going to have to change their lives. It puts the responsibility squarely in their lap. So that's the way we used it in Patient, and it was a very, very powerful sequence of events that would happen, and we would do this weekly. A family would go through an entire week of family therapy with alcoholics and addicts, and I was in charge of all the families, and we would do this weekly. And also there are some in which the addicts or alcoholics were caught and couldn't let go of their parents, and this would drive addiction and triggers and all kinds of things. And we would do funerals for their parents so they could let go of their parents and feeling responsible for them, or responsible for their happiness, responsible for all kinds of things, and couldn't get that out of them. This funeral, as I say in quotes, is simply getting into a frame of mind and heart to say your goodbyes forever to the person you need to let go. Write a letter to them as though they are in the casket or funeral home or church, in a church viewing, and express your sadness, feelings, and pain of letting them go. This is a time where we have chosen to let them die within us. We're not hoping they die, so don't feel guilty or bad. You're not hoping they die. What you're hoping for is detachment within you. And by doing this, we don't cause them to die. We don't send out bad karma. Or what we're doing is doing an exercise in letting go for us. And in fact, often what I found is it improved the relationship between the families and the addict or alcoholic tremendously. Everyone felt a burden lifted. Both the person who was in the funeral and the person who was grieving the loss. Choose a time to say goodbye. You can use props, use music, your favorite music, and have friends join you. You can write a eulogy or a goodbye letter to them. And be ready to identify, express, and allow your feelings to flow. And grieve over this loss. Oftentimes we stay enmeshed and we stay caught with the ex-affair partner, because we can't let them go. We don't want to do the grief work of letting them go, even though it's the best thing for us, and it is the healthy, adult, mature thing to do. But we have a hard time doing that. So this gives you an opportunity to face that and do it. It's no different than, I just saw a movie about World War I, and the girl had been wounded. She was a Cossack in World War I. She went to fight with her father, and she was hit in the knee, and the knee became gangrene by the time they got her to the hospital. So the question becomes, does she face the amputation or does she not? Because she's not wanting to lose her legs. She's a horsewoman. She doesn't want to. She wants to have her legs. But does she face the pain of the amputation or does she face losing her life? And I think that's so many times why it's hard to do the funeral, because we don't want that amputation. We want things to be the way we dream about, fantasize about, hope about. And it won't work, but we don't want to give up that dream. So she submitted to the amputation, and then she was much better on the other side. And I think the same is true when we do the funeral work or the grief work over letting someone go, so that we'll be better on the other side. And even might be able to love better, love more fully, love more freely. And as you feel lighter in expressing these feelings, and more, you feel more free to say your goodbye, and you're able to share with them the goodbye and walk away from them. And we would actually turn out the lights, have them leave the room, and they were gone. And it was very, very powerful. People were very touched, because it's the very thing they didn't want to face. I don't want to lose my child. I don't want to lose my husband. I don't want to. But if a husband or child is saying, I'm going to go on drinking whether you like it or not, well, okay, that's your choice, but then I'm going to have to say my goodbyes because addiction will kill you eventually. And it does. And so they needed to be able to do that. It also woke up the addict and alcoholic to how severe their illness was, and also what severely and what importantly they were losing as a result of their choice for alcohol or heroin or cocaine or whatever it was. I realize this is not magic. It is a technique. I understand that. But it can be a powerful technique in grief work if done sincerely and with the belief that you choose to say goodbye and to let go, and you have prepared yourself to face life without that person in your life the way you wanted them to be, or to be able to live without the drama that this person has brought to you and you've created in your life, then you're ready. Because we have to be willing to grieve letting go of the drama. Maybe this person was just all drama in your life, and it's hard for you to live without drama because you're an ACOA. Maybe this person, you always had a fantasy. We were always just going to have this wonderful relationship. Just like an ex-affair partner. Oh, it was going to be wonderful. We were so happy. We were soulmates. We always understood each other. We had sex. It was fabulous, etc., etc. But it's a dream. It's a fantasy. It's not reality. It seems very real. And so when I say goodbye to this ex-affair partner, I'm saying I'm willing to live my life without you. And that's very sobering, and it's very painful because we want to hold on to that dream. She met all of my needs. He met all of my needs. We just had no... Well, when you only have to live with part of their life, not their whole life, you can meet a lot of their needs. You know, the wife who's at home or the husband who's at home is taking care of the kids, paying the bills, while you're out having an affair. So, of course, your life is lighter in this affair fantasy relationship. Often I work with folks for a number of sessions to prepare them to explore getting ready for them to have a funeral. Because it might take some work to look at what are the downsides of me letting them go? What are the downsides of me having this funeral? And if you view some of my other videos, you'll see what I mean by the downside of certain behaviors. If I let go of them, what's the downside? Because inside we're saying, oh, if I let go of them, then life will just be great. No, that's not why you're still connected. You're still connected because what you think is going to happen is worse than, or more important to you than, letting go of them. Often we hang on to people, places, and things because people are not wanting to let go of the fantasy or the dream. We don't want this to die. For example, that one day our parents will be meeting our needs, very empathetic and understanding, or an ex-spouse who will not blame us for everything that went wrong in the marriage. You know, we dream about, I really think if they would just not blame me for everything. So I'm holding out for that, and that's why I can't let them go. Well, they may change, but you can't wait on them to change. You must change you first. You must change you, not wait for someone to change so you can change. That's living in bondage to someone else or something else. Or maybe we hang on to people, places, and things because due to our low self-esteem, we believe we deserve the pain. We don't know who we would be without the pain. When we have had this pain and stuckness, say with our parents for 35 years or more, who would I be without that pain? If I let go of my mom and dad, and they've always brought me pain for 40 years, who would I be? The result is something that you can explore with your coach, your therapist. We keep resuscitating a dying, dead, or toxic relationship, hoping it will change or they will change. So we always have these relationships that we can't let go of in the ICU. and are always trying to shock them back to health when it's terminal. And for adults, it needs to be terminal because we don't need that anymore. We don't need to have our parents' approval. You don't even need to have your parents' love. It's nice. I think it's a great thing, and I hope families will do that, but it's not required for you to be a healthy adult. It is not required. If you're an adult. Now, if you're a kid, that's something different. That's a little more, we need that consistency, love, dependence. That's a healthy place for that as we're growing up, but not as adults. So we keep resuscitating this dying, dead, or toxic relationship. We get beaten up emotionally and in many other ways, and we rationalize it. But there's really a good person inside them, and I'll just hang on and wait for them to change. Someday they will. If I complain enough, they'll get the point. Or we say there are some times when they were just who I wanted and needed them to be. And maybe even with toxic parents, for example, there might have been times where they were actually what you needed and who you needed at that time. And then we hang on to that and go, why can't they do that all the time? And then we're traumatized by the toxicity all the time because they're crazy or they're emotionally have issues, as we all do. And when I say crazy, I don't mean psychiatric. I mean just their behavior is not norm. Their abnormal behavior, abnormal feelings, abnormal reactions, or unhealthy ones. Maybe that's a better word than abnormal. Or unhealthy reactions, unhealthy behaviors with us. And we hold on and hope that they will change. If you need to let someone die in your life, if you need to let go, have an intentional funeral. If you'd like some help, I want you to contact me. My contact information is on the screen, my email and my phone number. I hope you'll join our YouTube channel. I want to thank you today for watching, and have a great day. Hello, my name is Jerry Wise, and I'm a relationship expert and a family of origin expert. And I have many people who ask me the question, well, how do I self-differentiate? How do I do that? What do you do to practice this self-differentiation? And I thought I would give you an example today of a tool, and one of the ways in which you can practice self-differentiation. And this is about that example. Being confused is a great way to keep from getting hooked by another person or by a group. And I think a lot of people, self-differentiation is about not getting hooked, not getting reactive, not having to play the game, not having to play the roles that you've been taught to play and to do, and to de-enmesh. This video is about using confusion to keep yourself and to remain yourself without cutting off from others. I recently got permission to use an example of one of my clients. While I won't reveal her personal information, I'll use her life example in this video. And this is Mary and her difficult and immature mother, Samantha. Mary and Samantha are enmeshed, and they have been enmeshed for many, many years. In fact, even from the very beginning when she was very young, her mother had a very alcoholic husband. Her father was alcoholic. Mary's father was alcoholic. She married divorced the alcoholic and married another man who then became a sexual abuser. Mary has had a long, difficult relationship with her mother. Her mother often makes up stories and tells others about Mary to maintain her victim lifestyle and to always be the one wronged in life. Samantha loves the drama and probably is an abuse victim herself, and has spent her life lying and manipulating her family to get what she wants and what she needs. Samantha uses guilt, anger, and reactivity to get her children to do things for her, even when doing things for her is harmful to them. Mom, Samantha, is volatile, rejecting, and will punish Mary for not going along with her way of thinking. Samantha believes she was a great mom to her 3 children. In her rather delusional or denial mind, Mary's stepfather was sexually abusive to her, and Mary even told her mother at age 15. But her mother ignored it and probably denied it. And Samantha is still married to this man. Mary is the codependent caretaker for Mom. Her brother is enmeshed with her mom in a number of ways, on a number of levels. And her sister is cut off from her mom and won't have anything to do with Samantha. Mom underfunctions in numerous ways. Mom is always creating havoc for Mary. She tells her friends that Mary is mean to her and acts in unloving ways to her, then tells her family and the few family members who will listen that Mary is bad and does bad things and doesn't care about her, doesn't love her. Then her family and few family members and friends will call Mary and ask her about what Mom has said. Mary's, of course, have said and done none of these things that Mom has said. And she even tries to set boundaries with Mom. But of course, when she sets boundaries, then Mom acts out in this way by creating a drama. This makes Mary feel guilty. Mary keeps the secret that Mom has been shoplifting and abusing prescription pills. Mary also keeps the secret that Mom denied her abuse growing up, because she doesn't want the world to know that she had a mother who does this and who did that. Oftentimes when we are stuck in those dysfunctional families, that's what we will do. We will even protect those who harmed us. Mary has been setting more boundaries with her mom. This increases the heat in their relationship. Mary has been preparing herself to ask her mother what she was thinking and feeling when she told her about the abuse when she was 15, in which Samantha did and said nothing, and they have never talked about it since. By the way, Mary is probably in her 40s, has teenage children, and is a professional. Mom then has a conversation with Mary recently in which she says, I know I've always loved my children, and I've been a great mom no matter what my kids think. Often Samantha will say wild things to get an argument started or out of her own immaturity. And this happens often with Mary's brother Mary's brother and Mary's sister Cindy. And at this point, when Mom says something like that, Mary feels caught. She knows if she does one thing, it will cause one problem. If she does another thing, it will cause another problem. She feels caught. She doesn't know how to get uncaught. And so there, her self-differentiation is not very strong. So, A, Mary can avoid her mother and say nothing, which feels bad internally because she knows what happened when she denied her abuse. She knows her mother hasn't been the most caring and wonderful mom through her years of growing up. Or secondly, she can accuse her mom of lying one more time and become reactive and tell her mother she was a horrible mother and rage at her out of her anger she has had pent up for a number of years. And by the way, she is in the process of preparing herself to ask her mother about the events when she was 15, but she's not quite ready yet. She wants to have a non-anxious presence and do it as a researcher, not as an accuser, and not as one who's stuck in her anger over it. Because if she's there, it will only turn into a mess and will not be very therapeutic for her or for her mom. Oftentimes we will be involved with people who say things we don't agree with. or say things that are meant to urge us to react or to become reactive. The goal is to avoid reactivity and to remain mature, and to avoid living in a needing way or needing others or the other in an immature, enmeshed way. I suggested this. Mary, when your mom says that she was the most wonderful mom, loved her kids, and was the greatest mom ever growing up, you can say, Mom, I'm not sure I understand. Mom, I'm confused. And stop. If Mom wants you to be reactive or have a fight, she will ask you in a defensive way, well, what don't you understand? What are you confused about? And if somebody's wanting to pick a fight, then I know there's no reason to hardly continue the conversation, because it will not change them. It will only get me enmeshed and caught up with them. If she really wants to know how you feel, she will ask in a way in which she really wants to know more about you. If she wants me to be defensive, I will just respond, I am just confused by what you said, but that's okay. Hey, what would you like to have for lunch? If Mom has some desire to really connect with you, and only if this is the motive, then you can reveal more. For example, if she'd say, well, honey, I don't know what you mean when you say you're confused, and she's really open and she really would like to hear, then you say, well, Mom, you mentioned that I loved you kids growing up and I was always a great mom. Well, that statement is confusing to me, Mom, because I remember several times in which your choices as a mom didn't work out so well for me. If she becomes defensive, then say, well, that's okay. If she wants to know more, and if she's humble and open, then you can explain more. And then you might even feel safe enough to say, hey, when I was 15, I remember telling you this, and nothing happened. So that's why it's confusing when you make that statement. My job is not to argue, not to get defensive, not to tear down the other, or Mom, not to make Mom see something, not to try to change Mom, not to punish Mom for what she did when I was 15. The goal has nothing to do with that, because if you're trying to do all those things, then you're still enmeshed with the abuse and still enmeshed with Mom, which only will create more pain and problems. Whenever I feel someone is stating we should agree on something that I don't agree with, I get confused. I don't get angry. I don't get defensive. I don't get in a fixing mode. I don't get in a corrective mode. And I don't get in a I've been personally attacked mode. I get confused. Again, if someone says something I don't agree with, or feels like a personal slight, or something I don't like, with low self-differentiation, I will feel the need to defend, correct, argue, avoid, change, fix, get mad, run, get sad, feel hurt them. I'll want to do any number of those things and maybe many more. If my self-differentiation is higher, I will be confused, because what they're saying doesn't fit in my paradigm or worldview of myself. It doesn't go along with myself. And I don't need to make them get along with myself. Myself is myself. And my understanding of the past is my understanding of the past. No one else has to agree with me. I know what happened. And that's what matters, because I matter to me. I don't have to make everybody else matter. Me matter to them. It's only if they choose to have me matter to them. That's up to them. The goal is to do none of these things, so I get confused. It's a neutral state or stance. It elicits inquiry from the other. But beware of answering their questions if it's only to enmesh with you or to argue with you. Only answer their questions about confusion if you feel they might be ready to hear the answer. If not, don't. And I have a rule. I never have to answer any questions I don't want to answer. There is no law that says I have to answer them. Well, if you're confused, then you have to tell me why you're confused. No, I don't. I don't have to tell you anything. I told you I was confused. When you're ready to hear why I'm confused, I'd be happy to tell you. However, right now you don't seem ready to hear that, so I'm not going to go into revealing more of me. It's not safe. Often questions are not asked to gain real information or to get to know you better or to be intimate with you, but to argue, to use it against you, especially with family of origin, or to have you play the family role that you should always play. To remain self-differentiated, use the confused state. At least you won't be fusing with them or backing up from them and cutting off from them. They might be confused, but that's not your fault and it's not your problem. Well, your confusion really just confuses me, Jerry. Huh. Sorry to hear that. Because the problem started with them, not with me. I don't have a need to fix their confusion. Now, if they're confused about my confusion, well, that's whenever they'd really like to know in a genuine, safe way, I'd be happy to tell them. Until then, we'll just leave it at that. And I have no needs beyond that. If I do, they're probably not healthy and probably not self-differentiated. And it might sober them to get out of the game or out of the family of origin role-playing that was going on in the first place if I say, well, I'm just confused. Someone said to me years ago, I had a client who said, Jerry, you are the worst therapist in the city. I was fortunate I had learned confusion. I then neither needed to defend myself or to reject them, but to explore with them. I said, well, I don't understand. I'm confused. Come to find out, their spouse had said, I said this spouse was immature and acted like a baby. I said none of this. None of that is anything I said. So really, their accusation of me, or their distortion of me, had nothing really to do with me. It had to do with something that was inaccurate on their part. My mother would say, Jerry, do you think you'll be going to heaven? By the way, this is an enmeshment question in my family. And I said, well, I'm confused. I don't know what you mean. Well, Mom would say, I wanted to know if you thought you were going to heaven. It sounds like you're worried, Mom. I wouldn't worry about it. Things are going to work out just fine. She and I don't share the same faith. Though she would like me to share her faith so she can feel more at ease and less anxious and less fearful. And again, remember, questions always come out of the paradigm. Questions come out of the family of origin roles and dysfunction. Often questions come out of that basis. They're not coming to just really know something. They're coming to keep the dysfunctional dynamic going. An alcoholic son said to his mother recently, I'm just asking you to call my wife and tell her to stop bugging me about my drinking. I know you know I'm not an alcoholic, Mom. She has come to learn to say, John, I'm confused. Well, what do you mean, Mom? Well, I don't share that view. You mean you think I'm an alcoholic? I hate you when you think so little of me. You have always treated me badly. John, it's okay for me to be confused. If you ever want to know how I really feel, let me know. Sounds like when you calm down we could talk. She neither needs to convince him he's an alcoholic, nor defend herself for being a bad mom. Her son is sick, and she accepts the reality and is patiently staying herself in the situation, staying her, without cutting off or enmeshing with him or agreeing with him. Confusion is an argument stopper. Self-differentiation is about two things: seeing what's really going on, how I'm stuck in the relationship, stuck in my role, forced into operating in a particular way in the relationship system, and secondly, becoming self and reaching towards having a non-anxious presence. Being me while staying connected. The goal is neither to be pulled in or pushed away in the relationship. And that's why I think confusion or confused state can be so powerful in that, because it allows you neither to be pulled in or pushed away. I rehearse these roles and these skills and scenarios with clients, and we practice being self and we plan for worst case scenarios with family of origin, spouses, friends, bosses, co-workers, and even children. You might want to try it. If you feel uneasy about trying it, if you feel it would make things worse for you, please contact me so I can help you heal in some areas that would make it possible for you. I hope that you'll get some help for yourself if you're struggling with self-differentiation. My information is on the screen. You can contact me. I work out of my office. I also work online for any of those who live far away. Join our YouTube channel. I hope you'll like this video and make comments at the bottom. I want to thank you for watching and have a great day. Hey, hi everybody. My name is Jerry Wise, and I'm a life and relationship coach. And I've been helping people for probably 45 years now to help them become more self-differentiated and to work on their recovery and healing. And what I'd like you to do is, if you could, join this YouTube channel for this video. Also click the bell so you get notified when new videos go up. And there's an inexpensive membership that you can join on this channel. I think it's about $2 a month to help support the channel, because these videos that I provide are free. They take lots of time and energy to produce. But I wanted to give you a chance to be a part of the work that I would like to teach and publish out there to those who are in need and in need of healing. This particular video is entitled How to Resist the Role of Scapegoat, or How to Resist as a Scapegoat. Let me first define what it means to be a scapegoat, or what is a scapegoat role. A scapegoat is a family role embraced by the family, absorbed by the scapegoat, and it is there, that important dynamic is there to express, to deny, and to drain off the family's pain or dysfunction. So a scapegoat role is to express that pain through this indirect means. To you, as out of denial, we set up a scapegoat in the family, and this is all unconscious for the most part. And then we drain off the family pain from the problems or severe difficulties to the scapegoat. And the scapegoat is the distraction, the family, and what others need from the real root problems. The family can't talk about the real problems, the real difficulties, so they can talk about their scapegoated child. And this they'll talk with other family members, other friends, etc. Then everybody's focused on the scapegoat, and their eyes are not focused on the real problems. Much like you would have for a magician who has a sleight of hand. He'll have you look over here while he's doing something over here, but he keeps your focus over here. The scapegoat is the focus, or the sleight of hand. He goes over here and does his magic stuff, and the magician wants you to look over this direction. So the scapegoat is that distraction. Most dysfunctional families have a scapegoat and need a scapegoat to maintain the status quo of the family, to maintain the balance, to maintain the homeostasis, the equanimity, the equilibrium of the family and within the family. If you have the scapegoat, then it keeps everybody else's dysfunctional role in place, and they don't have to deal with the real problems. If you understand how and why scapegoating works, and you can then inform yourself as to how to resist this role and what you can do to resist it and oppose it in a self-differentiated way, not in a reactive anti-scapegoat way. Because again, when I say anti, you have 0 and then 180 degrees over here. If 0 is sick, then 180 degree anti that is also sick. So we want to learn to live out of that scapegoat role at the 90-degree mark. Neither being it nor totally opposing it in a reactive way. We want to get to the 90-degree mark. This video is about what you can do and how you can view your role as a scapegoat. These helps are things we can do short of going no contact, and unfortunately some people must go no contact because of the difficulties they have with their family and how toxic or damaging their family can be. So some do go no contact. There are many who stay in contact with their family, and these are steps and things you can take a look at short of going no contact. And I explain about going no contact and how you make that decision in other videos. You might check those out. Let me talk about the word supply. In the narcissistic abuse world, supply, or for the narcissism, supply is used, meaning we end up being supply for someone who has a personality disorder. We are their supply. We provide them with their admiration and our never-ending understanding and our love and all those things. We provide that supply for them. And they just gobble it up while gobbling us up at the same time. And so supply is a good way to think about being a scapegoat, because as a scapegoat, we provide supply for this dysfunctional family as well. And I want to share with you how supply plays into the families whom have different roles: golden child, mascot, lost child, scapegoat, enabler. There are all kinds of family roles. I'm talking about scapegoating in this video, and we'll see how we provide supply as a scapegoat. Supply are all of the ways we provide dysfunctional, emotional relationship fuel for the dysfunctional family or person in our life who scapegoats us. We we the yearning for things to be right and things to be good. We provide the enmeshment and the fusion. We participate in that enmeshment or fusion. We may provide being a whipping boy for the relationship or for the family. We may provide the deflection and away from the root problems. We provide that supply of being a deflection for that and a focus away from the real problems. And we do that by our giving, our fixing, our caretaking, our never-ending understanding, as I had mentioned, our love, our giving, and even our reactivity. Because reactivity is supply for this family as well, if you're a scapegoat. Because one of the ways to stay a scapegoat is keep being reactive. That continues to solidify that role in the system. And we want to deprive the family of this emotional and relational supply. And how do we do that? By becoming more aware of and resisting these forms of supply. Can we change their unconscious? Can we change their conscious thoughts about us? Maybe, many times not. But we can affect the system by withdrawing the supply that it needs to keep this lie and this toxic relationship going, such as keeping us as a scapegoat. The first is what I call reactive supply or reactivity supply. Being reactive only keeps us in a form of pursuit of the relationship and keeps us in our role. Do you know that every time you're reactive, it's a pursuit of this unhealthy dynamic in the relationship? I don't want to be reactive in that way. I want to remain more calm, so I'm not pursuing or fusing with this relationship through my reactivity. Reactivity serves keeping the role in place. Mother calls to complain, "You don't ever come over as much as you should." Again, a shaming statement. Should, ought, those kinds of statements are generally shaming statements. Stay calm, resist reactivity, and state, "I come over, Mom, just the right amount of times, but I appreciate you inviting me." Now I'm depriving this relationship of that scapegoat role because I'm being myself. I'm being an adult. And so I'm not feeding it with reactivity, and we'll see other things as well that we feed that. There are other things, other ways in which our reactivity feeds this role of scapegoating. Our shame reaction, which we want to work on, our abandonment reaction, our fear reactions, our guilt reactions and reactivity. Many times when we re-feel those feelings time and time again in the relationship system, we are just reinforcing this role of scapegoat. And we fuel the fire and we fuel and provide the supply for this unhealthy role. That's why I try to help people to overcome their shame responses, shame reactivity, guilt reactivity, because all of those are a lie. There's not real shame involved. There's not real guilt involved. This is familial guilt. This is family guilt. And in one video, I talk about a number of different types of guilt, for example, such as societal guilt, maybe true spiritual guilt, false guilt or systems guilt. There's healthy guilt. Sometimes when we do something wrong, there's an appropriate way in which we feel guilty. But many times in dysfunctional families, guilt is felt, but it's not based on doing anything bad. It's based on something the family just didn't like. That's not doing anything bad. Being yourself is not being bad. But in a dysfunctional family, you should feel guilty about that because you're not playing your role. Second of all, systems feeling supply is another supply we supply to this role. When the family shames us, guilts us, demeans us, ignores us, or shoulds us, we then feel ashamed and guilty and lonely and hurt and sad. These are all systems feelings. They're false feelings. They're feelings created by the system so that you will continue to play your same role. You may not actually have done anything that you should feel guilt for. You may not have done anything to feel ashamed for, but yet we still feel the shame. That's why it's false shame. It's not real shame. It's shame that is offered to us and we accept it. And really, there's no need for us to feel shamed. You know, when a parent or a sister or brother tells you, "Well, you've just never loved me like you should have. I don't know why you didn't accept me and care about me." That's supposed to make me feel guilty or ashamed. I don't have to feel guilty or ashamed. And in fact, I remember even talking about how I'd say, well, our relationship has always been troubled. It's been troubled from the beginning. So we all did things to make this relationship not work. It wasn't just me. And again, they want you to think it's just you. No one else provides any dynamics to this relationship. It's just your fault. These feelings feed the family supply needs. If we deprive them of these feelings, then we tend to stabilize ourselves as a real self and be self-differentiated. Recognize and resolve and heal these feelings so they don't keep getting re-triggered in a false way in your relationships with family or other adults. Stop accepting shame as real shame. Stop accepting systems guilt or guilt as real guilt. Stop accepting systems hurt as real hurt. Again, if somebody's saying something to hurt me, I think they're calling me a Coca-Cola, and it doesn't feel hurtful because it doesn't have to hurt. It's just their problem and their way of thinking. It's not the real me that they're talking about. And stop accepting rejection as real rejection. Many times people will feel rejected by family members or family who's never loved them. And so I'm going, why do you feel rejected? You've never been accepted. I mean, why wouldn't you expect to be rejected? I mean, why would that hurt you so badly? They've always done that. That's always been their mode. And that's how I've worked on my own pain and struggles as a good recovering codependent. Number 3 is role supply. Just the role of being a scapegoat provides supply to the family. Acting like a scapegoat, doing scapegoat behaviors, getting in trouble, limiting your success, keeping your self-esteem low, acting immaturely, complaining about the role that you are as a scapegoat, blaming others for the role as a scapegoat. We move into victim behavior and playing the victim. We might overfunction or we might underfunction. And we want to be self versus scapegoat or anti-scapegoat. We don't want to be scapegoat or anti-scapegoat. We want to be ourselves. And that's what I help clients to do and those who work with me. We want to detach from the family and detach from that role. And we may even need to first become confused. That may be a healthy step. Instead of being mad, hurt, angry, it's good to move into confusion. You know, why are they upset with me for what I did? I haven't done anything. So I'm really confused. Rather than taking it on as one more time, they're causing me this horrible problem and are scapegoating me. No, I'm just confused as to why they are acting so crazy, or some say psychotic. And why are they doing this? Confusion is better than the anger and the hurt. And it's okay to be confused about family members. Fourthly, deprive them of the dream fantasy supply. One of the things that keeps us as scapegoats and our never-ending understanding, patience, hope, long-suffering, is that we are living the fantasy they will someday accept us, love us, hear us, and understand us. We are our dream and their dream fantasy as a supply. And so we just keep yearning for that, which keeps us connected. But it adds supply to the role of the scapegoat. Once we get to a place where we can start to accept that, you know, I don't need them. I'd like to have a family that loves me and I love them, but I don't need them to exist as an adult. And I do accept that, you know, they're never going to change. Most families don't. A few do, but many families don't. Can I be happy even if they don't? And if you say, no, I can't be happy even if they don't, then we're still caught in the dream fantasy supply that we supply to them and supply to these roles in the family. Fifthly, the secrets supply. That supplies a lot for this toxic family and when there's scapegoating going on. And if we can deprive them of the secrets supply, we are the keepers of the family and relationship system secrets. And they keep us locked in because we keep those secrets. And we've probably spoken up before about these secrets and really gotten shut down. And the family goes crazy, don't want to talk about it, don't want to deal with it, or don't accept it or are still in denial, such as dad's alcoholism, mom's neglect, brother's abuse, all of those things that happened when we were growing up. And none of those happened in the family because they're all in denial. So we are many times we lift the skirt or the secret truth tellers in the family, and then you'll get pigeonholed into being a scapegoat. When we keep these secrets, we then align with the dysfunctional family. Now, I don't mean by that we go around dropping bombs, emotional and communication bombs everywhere we are. We walk into grandma's house and go, by the way, I just want to tell you, Dad was an alcoholic. No, we don't do that. But what we do is accept our reality and accept what we know. And so when we say, Dad wasn't always the best dad in all the world. And then the sister or brother says, well, Dad was a great dad. They're in denial and they have to deify Dad because that's their role. Dad was a great dad. And then we can say, yeah, there were times he was. He also was an alcoholic. Matter of fact, saying it calmly, not trying to make everybody believe what you're saying. It's just, this is my perspective and I don't have to back down from that. Mom did many good things for us, but she was neglectful. And that's a matter of fact way. It takes the energy out of the supply. It takes that supply away from the family. And when you choose to talk about it, be sure to stay calm and matter of fact and not trying to change the other person's perspective. And again, if I say, well, yeah, there were times Dad was a great dad, but he was an alcoholic. I'm stating that as a matter of fact, not trying to get you to make you believe that or come over to my side. I'm just stating this is how I saw our family. And sixthly, there is information supply. We want to deprive them of the information that we have because information is very important for keeping roles functioning. Golden child, mascot, scapegoat. Information is very important for those triangulations that the families do. Be less vulnerable. Offer fewer details and information about your life in a calm way. Because otherwise we become the family gossip focus, which we can't control. I understand that, but I don't have to provide all the juicy details for them. And that could be your jobs, your salary, your car purchases, voting preferences, religious views, relationship details, kids' lives. You don't have to provide all that information or how you and your husband or you and your wife are doing and just put that into the family gossip mill. If ever someone asks me and I want to provide less information, then I shift it back onto them. Say mom is talking to Mary and says, well, how is Bill doing with the kids these days? Bill's Mary's husband. Mary would say, if she's been the scapegoat, just fine. How are you and Dad doing? And put the focus right back on them rather than having it on you. And you can continue to do that in a broken record way. Yeah, but I want to know, is he still really angry with the kids? Is he still disciplining them the way he does? Mom, everything is fine. And, I was hoping we could go out for coffee today. And we just shift the focus away from all the information they want to hear about us. These perspectives and responses change your functioning in the system. I have other supplies, such as triangulation supply. There are other types of supply that we provide in dysfunctional families, and I'll be sharing those in other videos. Now, if we change our perspective and responses, as I have described, this may result in greater resistance from the family. Over time, greater acceptance and role shift may happen. And so there may be an improvement in the family if we change ourselves, but it may start out with greater resistance. Hopefully, it is a hope that if we continue to provide the contagion of calm, that can help the family settle down. Because if you're in connection with the family and you remain calm, it does have some contagious dynamics to it. If there is no improvement in the family, and you do all of these things today that I'd mentioned, if it doesn't work, you still win. Because they weren't going to change anyway, you're at least still working on yourself and what you're providing for others and doing for others. Remember, the scapegoat role may be hopeless, but it's not serious. That's one of my favorite quotes that I have heard. The situation is hopeless, but not serious. And it's not serious because we don't have to keep it alive in us. They may still want to see us as a scapegoat, but we don't have to keep that role inside alive for us. I hope you'll join the membership today on YouTube. Click join, click subscribe, click the bell if you want to get videos, each new video that comes out. You can make donations at my website at www.jerrywiserelationshipsystems.com if you want to continue to receive these free videos. I hope you have a great day, and be wise.